Good day, learners! Welcome to Module 2 about Baroque arts. Our objectives for today's lesson are 1. Identifies distinct characteristics of arts during the Renaissance and Baroque periods. 2. Compares the characteristics of artworks produced in Renaissance and Baroque periods. And 3. Determines the effectiveness of artworks by evaluating its utilization and combination of art elements and principles. So, let's start this lesson with the pretest. Here, you have to match the artist's names with their artworks. Write only the letter of the correct answer on the space provided before the number. Are you ready? Let's start. 1. Gian Lorenzo Bernini. What do you think is the correct answer? The correct answer is B. Ecstasy of Saint Teresa. Very good. 2. Michelangelo Merisi. What do you think is the correct answer? The correct answer is A. Conversion of Saint Paul. Wow! Good job! 3. Peter Paul Rubens. What do you think is the correct answer? The correct answer is E. Self-portrait. Bravo! You got it right! 5. Diego Velázquez. What do you think is the correct answer? The correct answer is C. Las Meninas. That's great! You got a perfect score! Keep it up! Now let's have a review. For this recap, you have to identify the title of the artwork and name of the artist. Are you ready? Let's start. 1. Look at the picture. What is the title of this artwork and who created this artwork? So this artwork is called Pieta and it is made by Michelangelo. 2. Look at the picture. What is the title of this artwork and who created this artwork? So this artwork is called Mona Lisa and it is made by Leonardo da Vinci. Next, 3. Look at this picture. What is the title of this artwork and who created this artwork? So this is called the Transfiguration, made by Raphael. Next, look at the picture. What is the title of this artwork and who created this artwork? So this is called David, made by Donatello. Now, let's discuss our main topic for today's lesson. So, it's about the Baroque arts. So the term Baroque was derived from the Portuguese word barroco, which means irregularly shaped pearl or stone. It describes a fairly complex idiom and focuses on painting, sculpture, as well as architecture. After the idealism of Renaissance and the slightly forced nature of mannerism, Baroque art, above all, reflects the tensions of the age, notably the desire of the Catholic Church in Rome to reassert itself in the wake of the Protestant Reformation, which is almost the same with Catholic Reformation art of the period. Although always in conflict with the simple, clear, and geometric concepts of classicism, the Baroque existed in varying degrees of intensity. From a simple animated movement of lines and surfaces to a rich and dynamic wealth. Baroque was a period of artistic styles in exaggerated motion, drama, tension, and grandeur. The style started in Rome, Italy, and spread to most of Europe. The Roman Catholic Church highly encouraged the Baroque style to propagate Christianity, while the aristocracy used Baroque style for architecture and arts to impress visitors, express triumph, and power and control. Baroque painting illustrated key elements of Catholic dogma, either directly in biblical works or indirectly in imaginary or symbolic work. The gestures are broader than mannerist gestures, less ambiguous, less arcane, and mysterious. Baroque sculpture, typically larger than life-size, is marked by a similar sense of dynamic movement along with an active use of space. Baroque architecture was designed to create spectacle and illusion. Thus, the straight lines of the Renaissance were replaced with flowing curves. Now, let us know some of the famous Baroque artworks and artists. First, let's talk about Michelangelo Merisi, or Amerigo da Caravaggio. So, he was better known as Caravaggio. He was an Italian artist who wanted to deviate from the classical masters of the Renaissance. He was an outcast in his society because of his own actions and the lack of modesty and reverence for religious subjects in his own paintings. Perhaps he started out as a specialist in his paintings of still life, especially of fruits. Studies of single figures followed, but they are clumsier than the fruit, which gives savor of originality and charm. Caravaggio's models at this period were either himself or young persons who have an air of being promising but wicked. Among his famous paintings were Supper at Emmaus, Conversion of St. Paul, as what you can see in this picture, and Entombment of Christ. Next, let's get to know Gian Lorenzo Bernini. So did you know that Bernini was an Italian artist and the first Baroque artist? He practiced architecture, sculpture, painting, stage design, and was also a playwright. Wow! He was also the last in the list of the dazzling universal geniuses. As a prodigy, his first artworks date from his 8th birthday. Among his early works were the Goth Amalthea with the infant Jupiter and a fawn, Damned Soul, and the Blessed Soul. He made a sculpture of David for Cardinal Borghese, which is strikingly different from Michelangelo's David because it shows the differences between the Renaissance and the Baroque periods. He was the greatest Baroque sculptor and architect as seen in his design of the Piazza San Pietro in front of the Basilica. It is one of his most innovative and successful architectural designs. The famous Ecstasy of Saint Teresa was his greatest achievement and the colonnade of the Piazza of St. Peter's, Rome. So this picture in front of you is called the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa by Bernini. Now let's move on and discuss about the works of Peter Paul Rubens. Rubens was a Flemish Baroque painter. He was well known for his paintings of mythical and figurative subjects, landscapes, portraits, and Counter-Reformation altarpieces. His commissioned works were mostly religious subjects, history paintings of magical creatures, and hunt scenes. His famous works were Samson and Delilah, Landscape with a Tower, Portrait of Helene Forment, and The Three Graces. So right here, you can see the portrait of Helene Forment by Peter Paul Rubens. Okay, so next is Rembrandt. Rembrandt was a brilliant Dutch realist painter and etcher. He was generally considered as one of the greatest painters and printmakers in European art. He followed no particular faith but was interested in spiritual values and often chooses religious subjects. Rembrandt shares with Rubens the revolution whereby painting came to depict the more personal aspects of the painter, his own home and his family. No artist has painted himself as often as did Rembrandt. His concept of himself continued to deepen in grasp and subtlety, while his technique grew more daring. His well-known work was his self-portrait in old age. Rembrandt had produced over 600 paintings, nearly 400 etchings, and 2,000 drawings. As what you can see here, this painting right here was him, and he made it himself and called it self-portrait in old age. Lastly, we have Diego Velázquez. Velázquez of Spain developed out of the Baroque. He was one of the finest masters of composition and one of the most important painters of the Spanish Golden Age. He worked out solutions to pictorial problems of design that transcend the style of any period. Velázquez was the case of a painter who discovered his avocation almost at the very start of his career. The passion for still life frequently emerges in Velázquez's art. His famous works were The Surrender of Breda, Las Meninas, The Maids of Honor, Los Borrachos, The Drinkers, and Maria Teresa. The painting seen in this picture is called Las Meninas, The Maids of Honor, created by Velázquez. He created this work 4 years before his death and served as an outstanding example of the European Baroque period of art. Margaret Teresa, the eldest daughter of the new queen, appears to be the subject of Las Meninas, but in looking at the various viewpoints of the painting, it was unclear as to who or what was the true subject. It may be the royal daughter or the painter himself. Now that we're done with our discussion, let's have some activities to test what you have learned today. For your first activity, identify the name of the following artists written inside the box with the given artworks below. Number 1, Ecstasy of Saint Teresa. 2, Conversion of Saint Paul. 3, Portrait of Nadine Forment. 4, Self-Portrait in Old Age. 5, Las Meninas. Now, let's have your second activity, art production. So this is called My Baroque Arts. Using Oslo paper and coloring materials available at home, illustrate your own artwork or painting following the style from the Baroque period. Now, let's have a wrap-up activity. Put a check symbol if the statement is correct and put a cross if the statement is wrong on the space provided. Number 1. The term Baroque was derived from the Portuguese word barroco, which means irregularly shaped pearl or stone. 2. Mona Lisa was created by Diego Velázquez. 3. The Transfiguration was created by Rembrandt. 4. Samson and Delilah, Landscape with the Tower, Portrait of Helene Forment, and The Three Graces are artworks made by Rubens. 5. Baroque was a period of artistic styles in exaggerated motion, drama, tension, and grandeur. Now, let's reflect on the things that we discussed today. Baroque was known for its exaggeration in motion, drama, tension, and grandeur art style, and it definitely helped Catholic Church in the promulgation of Christianity. So, I want to leave this question to you. How does Baroque styles or period influence people to have deeper faith in Christianity? And for the last part of this lesson, let's have post-test. 1. One of his famous works is the Conversion of Saint Paul. A. Caravaggio, B. Bernini, C. Rubens, D. Velázquez. So the correct answer is A. Caravaggio. Very good. 2. Ecstasy of Saint Teresa is the artwork of blank. A. Caravaggio, B. Bernini, C. Rubens, D. Velasquez. The correct answer is B. Bernini. Good job! 3. He is known as the greatest Baroque sculptor. A. Velasquez, B. Rembrandt, C. Bernini, D. Rubens. The correct answer is C. Bernini. 4. The Maids of Honor is the artwork of blank. A. Velasquez, B. Rubens, C. Bernini, D. Caravaggio. The correct answer is A. Velasquez. 5. It means an irregular shaped pearl. A. Renaissance, B. Baroque, C. Romantic, D. Gothic. The correct answer is B. Baroque. Did you get a perfect score? Very good! So that's all for today's lesson. I hope you learned and enjoyed our discussion today. Thank you for listening. Bye!